So, Dave, do you have a white car? Is it called a white car?
I have white interior, but it's a gray car.
Yeah. It's a gray car, but they call it a white model, I should say.
Yeah.
It's my lower chin. It sticks out like Jay Leno. I have a perfect bite if I walk upside down. It works out good. Yeah.
I was going to say something, but that would be funny looking.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
No, I think you have a very good jawline.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can't grow a beard. You know why, right?
I don't. No. Because it would look like Chuck Norris beard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Would it block me from? Yeah.
Would it have a fist in it?
Yeah, right. Be punching people.
And I couldn't grow a mustache with a cop because you know what I look like? The Village People.
Star? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It just didn't work, dude. I just didn't have that face. I wanted to, I'm copying a girl mustache, and I did. It's like
cop stash.
No, that's not going to work. Yeah, not going to work. You're going to have to go to the YMCA.
Oh,
that's right.
I was, now that I have a grandchild, I start looking back at the old pictures. And I'm like, I want to keep these in a place where all the kids can find them and show their kids. Yeah. And so, but in uniform, I had the cop stash, and I'm like, I can't believe I grew that out. It looks so ridiculous.
Hey, wait a second. Get your phone. You had a grandbaby?
I did. I do.
Really?
I do.
I got to ask you.
She's super cute.
I think we talked about breakfast briefly. Of that the feeling of having your own kid. So okay, grandpa. Your granddad. I can't believe it.
Is this me?
Dave, was it 12 years old when you got married? How old was he when you got married?
Dave was there.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh my gosh.
Dave is she's super cute.
She's adorable.
Oh my gosh, dude.
She's adorable.
She's super cute.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I can't believe, and this is her after a bath. Let's see if I can find a whole picture. This is my kid. I mean,
oh my gosh,
she's so sassy. She's like a month old, and she's just sassy, and she's judgy. She looks at you like, what's going on here? Anyways, those are my
So let me ask you honestly, what's that like? Being a granddad?
It's so much better than being a dad, I think. Because, I think one of the most important jobs that we have is to be a father, and to be a dad and raise people the right way. I'm not saying I did do any of those things right. I don't think I did. I think they turned out really great, probably more because of my wonderful wife. But when we had the kids, when we were 12, because I'm 42 now. When we had the kids, it was an incredible sense of, oh boy, I got a lot of work to do. I've got to be responsible. I got to grow up and got to do all these things. As a grandparent, you're like, I don't have to do any of those things. We're going to go ride horses and shoot guns with this kid. We'll teach them all the fun stuff.
Right.
And so the perspective is you just look at this little human and you're, first of all, in awe that anything like that could be created. And I don't remember feeling that with my kids. I think I was scared shitless that, like, oh boy, now I gotta get a real job and do real dad stuff, and like all this pressure's on you. And with the grandbaby, you're like, I've been through this rodeo before, but I don't know what it is, man. I look at her and I'm like, I can't believe that you've been created for this world, and her little fingers and toes, she's absolutely adorable. I'm in love with her, and I'm so proud of the kids that are having kids nowadays. My mantra with that, but it's just amazing. And by the way, best part, when she has a poopy, I go like this.
There you go.
My wife is great. She loves changing the diapers and stuff like that, but I can just be Pop, or if I'm sassy, I'm Pop. Because
what's going to be the name? Because that's where it starts, right?
No. So there's a generational thing with our grandparents' names are always Pop, but I came up with Pop because anything worth shooting once is worth shooting twice. I think we all agree with that. No, but my wife was like, I don't know what I want to be called, so I just started calling her Meemaw, and started messing with her. And she's like, don't call me that. But yeah, so she's Grammy and I'm Pop, and that's nice because that was my grandparents' names that we had for them growing up. So
that's so fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, your Uncle Dave.
He is.
So how did you feel walked up to the
Here's the thing. So Scott is now feeling what I feel as a perpetual uncle. because I don't have any kids of my own. I've usually had Malinois, which are probably,
special needs
but
dogs.
but
They eat more.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. But the great thing about being an uncle is I'm like, here's a Red Bull and a puppy. Have a great day. And I'm out.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
And now he gets to feel that exact thing.
He gets him riled up.
I can get him riled up, and then I get to go home and have a nice day, and that's
So nice.
So now you're handing him candy and all kinds of stuff, and you're
Corrupt them the right way.
You're living the uncle life. Welcome to the Thunderdome, brother.
Have you had the pleasure to see the baby yet?
I have not seen her in person. I've seen a lot of pictures. She's
tons of
a
pictures.
beautiful child. I'm very proud of my nephew and my niece. I couldn't be more proud. So hopefully I'll be out there soon in the next
Yeah, you'll see her.
Well, I know.
week or so, or a couple weeks.
Well, I know his heart. You got to tell me if he sheds a tear. This is going to get him.
Oh, I'll take video.
Yeah.
You kidding?
Yeah, do the video. He's
hold
gonna,
that over him?
Softy over there is going to, he's going to, as soon as he gets that baby in his hand.
Dude,
Blackmail video.
Yeah.
I know I do have.
As if I haven't been down that road before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way when I hold her. I'm just like, God, I can't. Did I have kids? I can't believe feeling this way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the world that we're in or what. When I had kids in the 90s and early 2000s, it was a weird world, but it wasn't like today.
Yeah.
And so now it's weird to have conversations like, hey, you're not going to get her, you're not going to let her be on social media, right?
Right.
And that's the conversation that we have now. And my son and his wife are wonderful, and they're very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
They're what we call old souls, that they act a lot older than their age.
Yeah.
And I think they're much more wise even than we are in some aspects. And so I have a level of comfort that they know what they're doing. They've got tons of cousins and nephews and nieces and stuff that are young, and I've seen them around even those kiddos, and I'm like, I don't have to be worried.
Well, here's a good part, Scott. Here's a good part. You and your wife obviously did a fantastic job with your kids.
Did. Yeah,
Well,
thank you. Though.
You got to give yourself some credit. You're just so humble, brother. But you guys did a good job. Now you're going to get to see how that paid off. How important that really is.
That's
now.
I think the real you finding out the answers to the test,
Yep.
right? And when you're having kiddos, it's going to take 20 or 30 years before you see those results.
So think of this, you guys. There's two things when you have a grandbaby. You're looking at yourself and you're saying, am I going to be babysitting this baby full time and being responsible for this baby because the person that had this baby isn't responsible? Or am I going to be able to really enjoy the fruits of my labor, knowing all that hard work with my child, my daughter, getting them to be really good human beings, to have another human being? Now I get to really enjoy it as a grandfather, as Pop, right?
Yeah.
I get to really go and really spend some quality time. And when that baby leaves, all the stress and wondering, is that baby going to get fed, getting taken care of, right? That road has been developed. And I know that my child, if he makes a left turn for a little bit, that's okay. That's just parenting. He's going to get right back because he knows where the straight road is, right?
Yeah.
I think that's so great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're going to get to smile every time, Dave,
appreciate it.
right? I think it's beautiful. I really do.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I appreciate that.
And I can only imagine what your wife's face looks like when that baby rolls in.
She loves
Oh,
it.
think about that.
She's so good with babies.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, she's been raising me for the last 30 years, so
She did a hell of a job.
That's still a failure.
And I think it was kind of a strong stance you took that she enjoys changing babies. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't think she
think it's
enjoys
good.
that piece.
I think that's good.
I think it's necessary, but I
No,
don't
we
think
talk
you
about that
enjoy
from
it.
time to time. She's like, "You could take care of me when we're old," and I'm like, "No, the robot is."
There is an advantage to that.
Yeah.
Now, there's the advantage of the robot.
Yes, 100%.
There's the advantage.
Yes.
Yeah. Go get your rubber gloves and come in here. Yeah.
Come in here, please.
Yeah.
Turn me over.
Yeah. Well, all fun aside, congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
And I want to thank you guys, too, because you know how I feel about you guys. I think you guys are probably the two finest people I've ever met in a long time. And when I say a long time, I sincerely mean that. And I appreciate you guys coming in and saving me again, like all the other podcasters you do. You come in and we pick your brain, we ask you questions, we sit back and we look intelligent, and we let you guys go. And we go, wow, what a great podcast. It's all natural, as everybody knows. And Dave, congratulations on your podcast. Go ahead. Let's get it out right now. Give me the name.
Well, I want to say thank you for that very kind feedback, because given the company that you keep with some of the folks that are on the show and people who are in your orbit, that's really, really positive. And as I shared with you previously, we started the Resilient Edge podcast, which is focused on a lot of different topics, not just one. It's not just about security. It's, about mental health, about the veteran community. It's about mental health, psychology, crisis negotiations. Like, we've had a whole group of different folks on there, and it's really designed to be a little bit different each episode. Yeah. Every episode's not supposed to be the same. And we talk about a lot of different things and offer in a lot of different perspectives. And, we're just finishing up season 1, and we're going to be moving into season 2. And we got all kinds of fantastic folks lined up for season 2. So
well, there's no question of that, but let's be real too, Dave. You're doing it for its passion.
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of like what I don't want to say it's passion for me, because everybody can see that on the camera. My eyes bulge out, my hands go everywhere, but I'm trying to change. It's just, I just want to share, want to give back. Yeah. And you've been in the industry a long time. There's a purpose for your podcast, right? It's not just, get information out. This is something you really care about. This is something you train people on. So share that a little bit. It's not just a matter of you having a connection and just bringing people in to create a conversation. This is you with your background. Share that real quick. That's important.
But I also think the idea is to give back to, right? Mm-hmm. Giving people the opportunity to talk about their books or their programs or other things, because, a majority, if not all the people that are coming on, I've had a lot of personal and professional interactions with, and have helped me in a lot of ways innumerably. So this is a way to allow them to share their perspectives, but also have great conversation like we're having right now.
Yeah.
And I think those are the best kinds of podcasts, when you can just come in, have a conversation, and just talk about the things you're either passionate about, enjoy, or have the ability to inspire in a lot of different ways. So that's what it's about.
How did you feel about when you first started? Because with me, it's when you get a podcast, and a lot of you guys can make sense. As you can tell, I'm not a very good speaker. These guys they got a wonderful vocabulary. They went to school and they're super knowledgeable. So I got to fake it. But how did you feel when you first did it? When you get a podcast and you're on camera, you're like, oh, I don't want to look like this. I don't want to sound like this. I don't want to sound too smart. I don't want to sound too dumb, right? How did you? I guess where I'm going with it, I'm really enjoying the podcast now because I could just be me.
Yeah.
And all that's aside now. I don't worry about the camera anymore. I'm really enjoying the conversation, and I'm actually having more fun than I expected. It really is a lot of fun. Yeah. If I could do this all day long, I would. Yeah.
This is good
kind of
stuff.
Crazy. It's fun. I really find. Then when I get guests like you guys, it turns more comedy. That's why I brought you guys in for comedy. Okay, all right. You're smart.
Relief.
Yeah,
this
you guys
is the
are.
Laugh Factory.
Yeah,
right?
the other professionals that come on are the professional or the comedy kind of intermission.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys haven't seen anything yet.
No. No, for me, I've never been a fan of being in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. I'm really not that person, and never have been. But going back to your point, I think it's enjoyable to just focus on the conversation that you're having, and forget that it's being recorded, or forget that there's other people around, right? Mm-hmm. You just dive into it, and then when you get done, then everything, as you know, goes into post-production. AI makes us smarter, and everything, works itself out. So, for me, it's just getting past the whole, just like you said, getting past the whole I'm in front of the camera and that's my whole focus. That makes you look uncomfortable. Yeah. And then that people can read body language, people can see facial expressions. So if you're having just a natural conversation, it makes it a little bit easier. So I tend to try to focus on the conversation rather than just being on camera.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot.
Got a good group and exciting. Like I said, you guys together, it's terrific. It really is. And you guys have been all over. I see it, everybody's grabbing you now for the podcast. And I was like, I'm so glad to see Dave do that. It's like, he needs his own. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was, well, truth be told, for full transparency, we recorded a lot of those sessions last year. And just because of business operations, business tempo, it made it very difficult to try to do a lot of these things, but now I'm slowly building out a team that does a lot of this stuff for me, which is really, really helpful, and then allows me to focus on the things that I think are important.
Yeah.
And then we just move into documenting those things, right?
Well, and that's where I was. That's kind of where I was. What I was thinking about as you guys were talking about, starting these conversations. That's the most important thing I hope people take from it, because we have these conversations just naturally because we love what we do and we love the industry that we're in, but we've always had these conversations, and nobody has been until recently. Being able to benefit from these conversations that we've been having.
Agreed.
And now we have a method, a mode to deliver that to people that are specific to our industry and specific. There were no thought leaders in this industry that talked about it on YouTube. 10 years ago, nobody was doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's much more accepted, and people are looking to those things. I wish some of our associations would lean into that a little bit more. But I love that people are just going, you know what, I'm going to go find somebody to help me build this. And because we're not experts in microphones or cameras or lighting. We've got folks who know how to do that. Use them, right? Utilize their expertise. And then we just have the natural conversations that we usually have. And that, hopefully that translates through the media. To people who need to hear it.
Yeah. Well, you guys know this studio is open to you anytime, all right? And so it's a pleasure again, and I can't thank you guys for making the drive, coming in and spending time and opening it up. Before we actually kind of got started today, I asked you both in today. I'm gonna be a little selfish, and I asked you both to take a look at what I'm trying to do on my end.
I love it.
And it's more technology because I see you guys every day on a podcast talking. Everybody's the same, asking the same. Let's talk about cameras. Let's talk about technology. Let's talk about where security is going. Let's talk about law enforcement. And there are no better people but you two with that background. Dave, very impressive background. Scott, my God, you guys' resume is huge. So thank you for that, and thank you for sharing in just your knowledge. That's really, really helping the industry. It really is. So we sat down today, and I showed you my direction. My goal is to really change industry, believe it or not. I am not here to hockey stick another business, get another software company, and sell it, okay? I'm really wanting to make a difference and give back, because when you get older, you get like pop, right?
Yeah.
You want to take care of the grandkids because it feels good. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's just I'm so exhausted. It just feels good to give back. I mean, honestly, that's what I want to do. And it's nothing better to look at an operator's face and share something with him that I thought was very small. And he goes, oh, my God, you just changed my world, right? And it was just an experience, or it was a pain point. So I'm starting to get it, right? And the good part is I think I'm going to be able to do this before I'm on my deathbed going, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
So this gives me that. And that's where I think you'll see, and I'm sorry for rambling on, 2 cups of coffee.
Only 2?
Only 2. Yeah, well, too much sugar. I guess where I'm going with it is that in some of the stuff that I try to write, and then I thought to myself, and it was all by accident, I start sharing my personal life. I start thinking about my personal life with flying and my dad and all that stuff. And I go, I need to tell stories that grabbed people, not just technology, but kind of make it relatable to the business, how I learned. A flying lesson, how I brought it to security, is to make it more interesting, not just another guy that feels like he's got the market because he's been in the industry a long time. You know where I'm going?
Yeah.
And Scott, you and Dave get asked all the time, where do you think robots, where do you think technology is? Where do you think law enforcement? Can we just start with that? Or tell me, Scott and Dave, what's the best way to take this? Because I want to ask you, and I took some notes down. Where's technology going? Because everybody's scared in the industry. Am I going to lose people?
Yeah.
And then we know you've answered this question several times. What's going to happen with the law enforcement? Maybe this open it up to you. Let me just.
Well, it's kind of scary too when we talk about technology, because there's so much investment going into AI right now, and there's a lot of debt building with companies investing in either data and just how do you capture it, and then what do you do with it, and trying to understand that, as well as investing in their own AI. And so there's a lot of concerns that I'm no financial analyst, but from the people that I kind of do follow and watch, there's a lot of big concern with technology and how disruptive it is. And something that a term that I use a lot is volume and velocity. And I think that's what's really interesting is the volume and velocity of technology is, if you aren't looking at it now, you're already behind. If you aren't saying, what do I need to do today to make tomorrow better for my organization or better for myself or whatever it is that is important to you, you're already behind the power curve. If you aren't saying, yeah, maybe I don't trust AI, but I want to understand it and because my competitors are going to use it or whatever, you're going. I've always said that these organizations will cease to exist if somebody isn't actively forward-leaning, trying to understand how can I utilize technology to make my product more efficient or make my process more efficient, to provide better services or better customer experience, something. You just won't exist. And it's sad to say, but that's always been, the folks that, as the Model T is flying off the assembly line, and however long it took them, 8 hours to build a Model T, if the people are going, that's not going to be a thing. I'm going to invest in horseshoes, right? We have people doing that, right? And so technology has always been progressing at a rapid pace since the steam engine, but we haven't had the what I continue to say, the volume and velocity that we do now, that is continuing to become faster and faster. And I didn't realize this until I landed at NVIDIA and listened to Jensen Huang talk about speed of light. And I was like, what do you mean speed of light? I mean, I watch Star Wars and what light speed is, They've gone plaid. What movie is that?
That's a great Spaceballs reference.
Great movie. Yeah. Hopefully we get a Spaceballs too. And so, speed of light for Jensen, and I used to tell people, he's already on Mars planting crops, looking back at the Earth going, where is everybody? I've already figured out how to live here, right? So in his mind, speed of light, he's really just trying to get everybody else to catch up to him. Because and Elon Musk, the same way. And by the way, we are so fortunate in society today to have so many thinkers and doers that are building amazing things for for humanity. And I love what you were saying to us, maybe even off camera, about the folks in your organization have ownership in the organization. They have a piece. And I think far too few business leaders don't understand that, because they came up and they scrapped and they fought hard to get what they've got. And then they say, well, if they want it, they can fight hard to get it too. And sure, that I believe that was a way to look at things, and especially if you're going public and you want Wall Street to see how lean and mean you are, and you owe the investors something, and you owe the stockholders something, and that should be the priority. It's not the priority anymore. And business leaders like yourself get it. How do I leverage technology, but you didn't forget the human part? Because without humans, it's going to be really hard to leverage that technology. So yes, we are going to have less humans. That's the way. This is just simple math. Take a look at any demographic. People are having less babies. We're way under the replacement rate in the United States. So we have to leverage technology. And so when we talk about what's the future of X or what's the future of this or that, it's going to involve hardware. It's going to involve software. And by the way, the software from today, tomorrow will be obsolete. So if we're not continuing to say, how can I make it better? How can I make it better? I just finished it. Now I need to figure out how to make it better, right? So it's kind of perpetuates its own self, Because when you stop doing things, that's when you get overtaken by everybody else who's like, no, I'm going to still try and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a cool place to be. Sure. Is it scary? Absolutely. But we were talking about earlier too, new is scary. You know, I don't trust AI. Okay, that's your choice. You can do that. Nobody should be able to take that away from you. But if you don't at least understand what it is and how it does what it does and how you can leverage it to make yourself better, it's going to continue without you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. Dave, what's your thought?
Well, I'll put my chief of police hat back on, right? Because when I see that, I look at, and I agree 100% with you about the human element, but there's a very important piece of that human element, and it's called decision making or data-driven decisions, right? And the data you get is what you're basing a lot of your security strategy on. Let's say you're doing, putting in cameras and whatnot, and you have a place get broken into. Oh, well, anecdotally, we didn't have a camera there, so that would have prevented. And we all know that cameras don't prevent break-ins. They record the incident, right? So the reality is how do we make better data-driven decisions? And how do we then leverage tools like AI to help us refine that data to make sure that we're synthesizing it down to the things that we actually need to do versus... And there's still a human component there. It's still blended because now you're leveraging your knowledge, skills, abilities, training, background, all of those things that can look at the data and go, okay, that's good, but maybe we need to rethink our strategy of a camera. Maybe
Sure.
It's something else, right? So the reality is when I see something like that, I look at okay, what information do I have? And then going deeper, where's it coming from? Where's it being sourced from? What data feeds are going into it, and also what's missing? Obviously in incident command, what do we talk about? Common operating picture, right? Which is a very, very important thing, especially if you're working with other organizations. Everybody needs to be on the same page. So how do you create that common operating picture, not only within your own organization, but with your clients?
Dave, would you do me a favor? Would you break that down in layman's terms for the common operating procedure? I can't even say it right. Would you break it down for
Common
my
operating
listeners?
picture means that everybody is visually or audibly hearing and seeing the same things at the same time.
Okay, thank you for that. Keep going.
That way, everybody is on the same page. Everybody has access to the same information, and everybody can make informed decisions based off of the data that's coming in. But obviously when we look at data sources, right, we, sometimes we'll question, like if you query Claude or Chat or Grok, you're going to get an answer, right? A lot of times you may question, well, where did that come from? Like, that's an interesting perspective that AI came up with. Where did that come from, right? Because maybe that's not consistent with our experience, but where did it come from? But that's an interesting thing to look at. So I think it's also good to look at, well, what's missing? What are we missing? And because you can pull in all the data feeds and you can use analytics on cameras and all this stuff, but what are we also missing? And that's an important piece. And when I, see what you're building, you're actually refining things. And every time you're going, hey, you know what, this piece was missing, because you came across something that said, here's a situation, whatever it happens to be. Oh, we don't have this data source. So now you're pulling in another data source and another data source. And I've always said knowledge and plus information is power, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what you're building is fantastic in terms of giving people that picture, for their business or their property or whatever they're trying to achieve. They're being given the tools necessary to make better decisions.
Yeah. So they say data in, data out. My whole, I guess I could say, in the 32 years in the industry, I've always wanted to provide really good information to my client. Okay, and the only way I can really provide good information to my client was to put the right person in the right job.
Yeah.
And then the right person has to be trained. Okay, if he has that skill set, great information, right? But then it's him as a person, is that how proactive he is in walking that property, doing those extra things, so we can have the data that we need. So as you guys probably saw today, that was my goal originally. Is that now I've collected all that. Okay, I've kind of taken away the training. I've taken away all the problems that somebody could, and I put it very in. Can I say it? Kind of made him a robot, because now they really don't have to think too much. It's there. They just have to follow the procedures. I've already trained them, made it easier for anybody to grab that information now and properly deliver it. And if they make a small mistake, it's going to correct it and title it correctly. That's where the value of the data.
Yeah.
Right. So the title isn't other when there's a fire.
Yes.
I made a mistake on the selection menu.
But
Right.
for me, it fills that knowledge gap that we have, where we're losing the largest generation the world has ever known, and they're taking all their knowledge with them because they earned it. That's how these things work. And we have new generations that don't have that experience factor. And I think that's what your network and your system and your process builds is now you don't have to maybe know everything about the location or what you're supposed to be checking. You have a partner, albeit AI and electronic and software based, that is got your back. If you have a question, you can refer to it. If you aren't sure and you miss something, it's going to remind you. And so that, and Dave was alluding to this too, and I know this is where you were going because we've talked about it. But when you're looking at AI, for an example, an AI answer, what we've always said is you still have to be the expert. So years ago when we were first talking about AI, using it in corporate security, we were saying, oh yeah, I build my policies and procedures. I just have ChatGPT, spit out an answer, write me a fire safety procedure or whatever. And yeah, cool, but where's it pulling its data from? What's references is it using, and then what is it saying? And are you knowledgeable enough, experienced enough to go, I like this, but not that. I want this instead. And be able to kind of massage that.
Keywords context, right?
That's right.
Context matters. And one interesting thing you just said, Chris, is you're actually not training them to be a robot. Actually, inadvertently, you're training them in best practices and how they should be thinking. So eventually, that process it inadvertently trains them to go, okay, I found 2 lights out in the parking lot, and I go report it, and then I go follow these steps in the system, and it generates. It shows them what right looks like, generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's robotic in the sense of we're training people just to follow prompts. It's, hey, this is what should be done in these kinds of situations, regardless of whether you're using a tool like AI or not. So if eventually, and you can do some A/B testing, take that tool away 6 months later and see if they're doing the same things on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys. It's funny. My brain runs so fast. I'm sitting here trying to describe it, and then I really just love the way you guys can take anybody's information and then understand me well enough to deliver it in a way that other people understand across the organization, on a chief of police, a security matter, EP, whatever. It's really cool. And thank you guys again, because you make me look great, of course. I love that. But no, I sincerely, I'm just blown away. Scott, when you go from the Model T all the way up, I go, God, he just took this third grader from here to here, and I really understood everything he said. That's like the investment guy. I went to B. Mellon. They put me in the chair, and they're throwing all this stuff in. I'm like, now I can be intimidated and act like I know what I'm doing and just sign the paper and walk out and go, you got my back?
Yeah.
Or it was a guy that I met at a, no joke, I met at a, with a friend of mine. We were getting a smoothie together, and he said, you look a little stressed. What's going on? And I go, just not smart enough to do. I'm just worried about I should do this. And he goes, come here. And he sat me down. He took 3 boxes. He took some chocolates out, and he moved them around. This little chocolate represents this, right?
Yeah.
And I got the picture.
Yeah.
Now, that's pretty embarrassing to say, but it's the truth. And you guys are so great at that. And thank you again. So, Vision InSites from what we did a little demo today. Scott, you're constantly talking about the business all the time. You're talking about the business. And are we going the right direction? On the vision side, are we going the right direction?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Without any reservation, I would say.
Yeah, you see where it came from in
Yeah.
the beginning all the way to today. And that's my biggest battle. So I'm trying to share that with the folks outside of just running around because there's all kinds of technology. But you guys, sit back and take a breath. Take a look what's out there. You got to get, there's so much going out there. Everybody's just getting this fire hose down them. And you guys really need and listen to the experts that are out there and talk. It's okay. Go find out what is the best solution for your fit.
I think also, and having been exposed to that a couple times, I would say there's been leaps and bounds of improvements and other things that have occurred in the last 6 months since I last saw it.
Yeah.
So I would say this is something that's never finished. In the sense that it's always a constant iteration for improvement or expansion, or how do we continue to iterate in a way that just continuous improvement, process improvement.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all it is, and that's what I saw today. 6 months worth of amazing improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, it's constantly changing, as you know, right? It's
Yeah.
not like you build it out once and here's the routine you take and let us know if you see anything.
Yeah.
And I'm speculating a little bit, but I would imagine, just based on what you've told me, and this is the first time I've seen it, and I love it too, but you seek feedback that you can implement as rapidly as possible. So that's, I think, something that both business and government could utilize that they don't always, which is, I should be listening to the customer. Right, we say it,
Yeah,
but do
of
you
course.
do it?
No.
Right? I got great feedback. Yeah, okay, cool. And we go on and keep making our shitty product.
Yep.
Or crappy service.
Well, it's the owner that says, I'm going to listen to my customer, but he can listen for the first 10, 20, 30, 40. He's got a personal relationship with him. He's constantly going to the feedback, but it's not passed down. It's not passed down to people. It should be duplicating that process. And then it gets shoved to the side.
But it's ingrained into your culture, and it shows up in your product because it's got to be tip to tail, so start to finish.
Yep.
That our culture as an organization is to do this thing. We want to make this great product, but if we don't get ourselves right, we can't make the great product.
Right.
And you, as far as I can tell, solicit feedback from outside sources, inside sources. And we were talking kind of earlier too about this, about if you're not looking to folks who are coming in the door and asking them, hey, what can we do better as an organization? Or how can our product look better? Do you understand what we're doing here? And if you're not soliciting feedback from the folks that are new or the customers that are new or whatever, you're missing out on some really good data.
Yeah.
And I've had the fortunate ability to talk to some new people in an organization I volunteer with and say, what do you guys think we should do? And they're like, what? Wait, don't you know? You've been there for a while. You should understand. No, I'm trying to get a different perspective. And that's my sense is that you definitely do that with people inside your organization, and then with how you make that product and soliciting their feedback, and you want to hear from them. And that's that ownership piece that I don't think a lot of organizational leaders understand, is if you don't give, especially young people, a sense that what they're doing is impactful and that you're going to listen to them, they're going to be gone. They're going to go to the next thing. You'll never, not only will you not get them back, you probably won't get anybody to their caliber back.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got to, and this is what a lot of people don't understand when you run a business. I can, especially in our security guard businesses, I can just hire and fire anybody I want, and it'll all be good tomorrow. It might not be good tomorrow. Are you a brand that people coming out of their schooling want to go to? Whether that's high school, college, whatever, trade schools. If you're not a brand that people want to go to, you'll increasingly become less valuable to them, and they will just stop showing up. And this is why I laugh. I'm sorry to go on a little bit of a
you're not at all.
tangent. I know we do that on your show, and you love that. But talking about all these jobs that open up, and I help talk with a lot of people that are in transition from the military or law enforcement into the private sector, and they're stressed. They're like, I applied for 100 jobs and I don't hear anything back. Are those ghost jobs? Are those real jobs? Who knows? But I think that the human resources folks and the recruiters that control these advertisements, that's what they are doing a disservice to the industry. Because here's the one thing they can't control. What we're doing today, talking about things. People that are practitioners are talking, and associations and business leaders are coming together, and people that are doers are coming together, and they're going, hey, I saw this opportunity. What do you think? And we're asking each other. We're not going to HR or a recruiter and going, hey, I saw that job. That looks really, really cool. Can I apply for it? Because what we've seen is we write our resumes with AI, and then we put it into the automated case management system, and it is its own AI, and it's looking at AI going, having a conversation. And so we lost that battle. Recruitment, hiring, it's all gone. You know what works? Authentic personal relationships. And I was telling a guy, he just retired from the Air Force, great dude, and he calls me about an opportunity, and we're talking about it, and he's going to apply. He does great in the interview. It was really kind of outside of his wheelhouse. I love that he wanted to try for it, and because I'll never tell anybody no.
Yeah.
Go get that experience, right? Well, he gets a call from another opportunity that's really not anywhere near what he had done in the military. And I said, take it. This is great. It's in project management. I'm like, you're going to learn so many important skills. Well, but it's not, I come out of the security world, law enforcement world, it's not really secure. It doesn't matter. You're learning the skills that you're going to need to survive in the security world, which is project management. How do I do the thing?
Yeah.
Right? But he got that opportunity not because he just chucked his resume 1,000 times into the void that is LinkedIn, if you will. He had an authentic relationship with somebody. He had been an intern in a program with that organization, and he got that opportunity because they went, he's a good guy. What else can we do with him? We see security law enforcement guy from the military, but maybe he has some other things that he can do that applies very much to things that he's not even thinking of. He's not even aware of.
Sure.
That's a superpower, if you ask me. If you can't build those authentic relationships with people, you are going to really struggle. But we have a generation of people that don't know how. We were talking about, somebody earlier. They don't emote the same way we're used to as maybe Gen X. Our Zoomer friends and Gen Alpha friends, they emote differently. They process differently. They're the first digital generation that have been born with a tablet attached to their hand, and they've grown up on digital first. So can we utilize that to help them? Yeah, we can and should. Can they be of help to some of the more senior generations? Absolutely, because we need their perspective and they need our perspective.
Sure.
That's, by the way, what your process does. And it's a brilliant product that can help somebody who's very seasoned and they know what to look at. You put the screenshot up there, the first, I'm like, yep, all makes sense to me. But I'm a practitioner.
Sure.
Can you take somebody who's been in the industry for 6 months and go, what do you think of that?
Yep.
They go, yep, I can do this, this, and this, and it'll tell me how to do the other things, right? Or it'll help me do those other things. Why are we not helping each other? But we're not. Some people are out there building these grand ideas that are like, okay, good on you if you can make money doing that. But we also are losing that opportunity to boil things down to be very simple. Not everything is simple, I get it, but can we boil business down to being simple? And what, by the way, it keeps coming back to those personal experience, being human, because that's what people want. And yes, we will sell. AI will sell to AI. If it's not happening now, it will happen tomorrow. But until we get there, let's focus on how do we help each other with technology and with personal that personal touch and that customer service that we've seemed to have just kind of forgotten about because AI is everything. It's something. It's not everything.
Vision InSites is the simplest, most powerful security guard management software. No long training, no complicated systems. Guards can start reporting in minutes. Train your teams with micro trainings, attaching video to individual checkpoints to walk them through sensitive procedures. Submit accurate reports every time with dynamic observations that automatically rewrite, categorize, and prioritize, removing human error. And grow your business with daily, monthly, and quarterly insights, the most advanced reports available today. Vision InSites, the simplest, most powerful way to report.
You know, I went into a meeting in Dallas. It was only a small company just starting out. Some kid and his dad asked me to come down because they found me on LinkedIn, and I called them on the phone. We were just talking in general about the business. This guy goes, you know, it's funny, just in the 10 minutes of talking with you, you've already saved us probably thousands of dollars. You've obviously definitely been in this industry. And he goes, can you tell me how many companies I've owned? And I said, well, this is definitely your second company for sure. And he goes, oh my God. He goes, you're right on. He goes, you need to come down, right? And then the finance guy who happened to be in the room, he goes, why don't you come to my office? This is going to be very interesting. So they gave me 2 hours. This happened on Friday. And I had a wonderful conversation with them. It was just a personal conversation, very relatable. And the fact I shared my story, they got it. And what was so great about it is just exactly what you said. Built that relationship with him, built that trust. We were and it was just the best feeling in the world. And that's what I'm trying to do here with these guys. You guys quit running. You got the gray hair here. I've owned 4 or 5 security companies. I got something really unique. Slow down. And here's what's really going to help us change the industry. Don't panic. They're all panicking, Scott. Everybody's panicking. I need this. I need this. I need that. Dave, help me. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. And I'll go as far as to say people do business with those they know, like, and trust, right? Which is a big thing. Or they not only do they do business, but they hire people that they know, like, and trust, right? So I think there's going back to the human piece. And I think everything is seasons, right? Like you just said, like AI, selling to AI. Well, think about pre-pandemic, right? You know, everybody was going to training and everybody was doing a bunch of stuff, right? In person, right? Yeah. Then what happens? Yeah. The pandemic hits, everybody's got to do together. Zoom training. Zoom takes off and all these virtual platforms take off, right? But what's interesting is in the last couple of years, when you talk to people, you know, about, hey, you know, we can deliver training, you know, do you want it virtual? Oh, no, we want it in person, right? We want to have an actual face-to-face conversation with people. So what I think you're going to see with AI too is people are going to get to the point where it's like, all right, enough, right? I want to actually write something on my own, or I want to create some stuff manually,
and those who can do that will have
and I think, you know, so I think, you know, AI is just a big hot topic right now, and in a lot of ways it is a game changer. However, I think everything has its seasons, and I think, you know, there's peaks and valleys in almost everything we do. So the reality is at some point, you know, the newness of AI is going to wear off. And, you know, going back to the whole, and I know what you were talking about because there was a post on LinkedIn, I think, talking about, you know, there was some company who uses AI for their applicant tracking system. And they were throwing out resumes apparently that were done with AI. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If employers are using AI, why can't the job seekers also use AI? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. You know, everybody's out there trying to figure out how does AI apply to me, and that's where I see a lot of businesses that are struggling right now, because some businesses are like, and I've heard this through my travels, small business out there. Oh, I'm never going to use AI. I'm never going to use it for anything. And I'm like, you're probably not going to be in business for very long.
That's right.
Even if you're not planning to use it in your business, you should still understand it. Just like you were saying earlier, I wholeheartedly believe that just understand what it's capable of and what you can do with it, and then you can make a decision. But don't automatically just discount and say, well, I'm never going to use AI because there's no place. And I have a very personable, true, but think about the mundane tasks you do every day that suck your ability to actually have face-to-face contact with your clients. If you could automate that in a way that relieves you and unburdens you from 3 to 4 hours a week, where you can actually go sit down on a wonderful podcast and have a conversation, wouldn't you rather do that?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people out there that just don't understand the tool and how it could apply to them, and everything is an individual use case. In most cases. And going back to kind of what you were saying, the management ethos and kind of getting, or problem solving, right? Look at how Elon runs stuff. That guy runs like 3 or 4 different companies, and what does he do? If an engineer is having a problem at Tesla, he goes and sits with that individual engineer and says, let's pregame and let's figure out what we need to do to solve this problem. And I would also argue that if he can do it, and he runs these massive companies where he's talking to an individual, out of maybe the 100,000 employees he has at SpaceX, he's talking to an engineer about a specific problem. If you have a business that has 10 people in it, you can certainly go sit with an individual and figure out, right? And go figure out what's the problem here. There's no reason. I mean, and obviously, I would say Elon is very much the exception rather than the rule, but I don't think a lot of organizations engage in that way, because sometimes you can't iterate or make decisions out of a committee, because there's always analysis paralysis. Everybody's arguing about a specific point, and a lot of times, and I like the fact that Elon goes to the source, and there's a big reason for that, because if you have multiple layers of people between you and the source, and whatever problem is bubbling up makes those individual layers uncomfortable or makes them look bad, what are they giving to you as the person who's telling the client out there, oh yeah, we're going to fix that and we're going to do that, and then it never gets fixed, and then you've lost credibility. So I love the fact that he goes to the source and tries to figure things out, and I think that's a huge game changer.
It's part of his culture, right? The culture of the organization.
100% cultures.
Yeah. Did you see him on that interview? You ever see that one where he's being interviewed and the reporter or somebody's asking him about, so that rocket ship, does it do this and this? And I don't remember all the details, but it was very interesting. And the one's looking at him and he goes, what'd you say? He goes, have I done this?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, but that's a very good thought. And in fact, I think I'm going to implement that. And he immediately, his mind just goes, he just
like
grabbed
literally right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
That's how he operates. He's like, hey, that's great. Let's go do this right now. Like before we lose momentum.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's so funny because I sit there with these operators all the time, and I've been through it, and I've done it. I'm trying to, same thing. I'm trying to just go to the source. I go, problems are good, you guys. Try to tell these security owners, don't shut things down. Everybody should come to the table, and don't come to the table and say, hi, I want you to go find me a problem. It's okay. You don't have to worry about being fired. Go find me a problem, and then do me a favor, think about it, and then come to the table with a couple, 3 answers about how you would resolve it. And by everybody else, listen, you guys, everybody else, shh. I don't want your feedback. I want to hear from Scott. Then I want to hear from you. And I don't care if it's the same answer. Just give everybody a shot. And that weekly sync becomes so valuable, right? You got the source right there, all the way to the guy that took out the trash.
I used to have the same philosophy as a police chief, because people would knock on my door, Chief, we have a problem. No, we have an opportunity. What is it? Because the reality is that problems are just opportunities in disguise.
Yep.
Right. And that's where either learning occurs or real opportunities occur. It's like, okay, we have a problem. Okay, is that really a problem, or is that something that we can translate into something to be successful?
Yep.
Right. And I think that's an important distinction.
And the other thing I was doing with the some of the owners that are scared of the AI, I tell them this. Is it because you're not a good entrepreneur? And they say, what do you mean? Is it really It's not AI that you're scared of. What it is you've been faking it. You're not a real entrepreneur. Okay? AI's forcing you to become an entrepreneur because everybody's, right?
Yeah.
People getting started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So it's really not AI. It's that you've been faking it for a long time. Now me, I'm an A guy. And what I mean by that is my mind goes 100 miles an hour. I love to be in a boardroom. I love to throw stuff. I got ideas. It's constantly coming. I used to think that was a horrible thing, but no, I like the ability to be able to do that. The good part is I find the B players, or whatever you want to call them, or people below me that have that skill set that are calm to go, gotcha, okay, and go. Okay, and I can sit back and I recognize, okay, that's not my skill set, that's their skill set, but thank God I could come up with it, right? And then I pass it down to the B players. So find a couple people like me, right? It's great, get around the room, and then get the people and say, go, 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 go.
They synthesize the data and they take what you're doing and they can translate it in a way that you intended.
Right.
That's why data is so important, right?
Yeah.
We can have all the great ideas, but if you don't have other folks that you can sound check those things to and go and even sometimes offer a little bit of pushback and say, well, wait a minute, flesh that out a little bit more, right?
Sure.
Let me understand that a little bit more before I go down the road and build something that maybe you didn't want.
Yep.
Right. I always prefer people ask questions and clarify stuff because, I go 100 miles an hour too. Hey, this sounds like a really, really great idea. And then I call this dude and he may be 3 bags full with his, his samples.
These are urine
right
samples.
there. You need more electrolytes, dude. But the reality is that I'll sound check it. And he goes, yeah, bro, that sounds good. But what if you did this? Or what if you did this? And I'm like, that's something I hadn't considered because what am I doing? I'm going 100 miles an hour and I'm not paying attention to the scenery. He's
We're in our own head.
He's looking at the scenery. Right?
Dude, every time I meet with Scott, you're both really brilliant, right? But I'm learning about you both, right? You're like this admin guy. I know he is too, but I just love how I could tell him something. He goes, well, let me take you back. And he started with a Model T. And I go, oh, well, I get that. And he actually taught me, which is really incredible, you guys. Took me from the beginning. He walked me through my problem. Not just say, here's what you want to do, and here's how you fix it based on my experience. He goes, I'm going to bring you all the way back from the beginning. Remember when you were a baby? Remember when you put your first shoe on, how it felt, right? Yeah. And then he took me through this step. Very basic, I'm sorry. But I just love that about you, Scott, to be able to take that and just, what a team, what a combo.
He does that all the time. We'll be talking about AI, and all of a sudden he's talking about Wyatt Earp in the 1860s, and I'm like, how did you relate these two things? Dude, wait,
Isn't that cool, though?
What kind of weird Guinness Book of World knowledge do you have, bro?
But you're both honestly, you're both really great speakers. You really are, and but what a storyteller. Like Mike Trotter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, he took me to church that day. I mean, I think when he was done, I stood up and I said, "Hey," I was like, did you guys just hear what I heard?"
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I mean, so humble, so much experience.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, this guy just went up, shared his heart, and you did a wonderful job too. I was like, I don't care. I'm not even, you know what? I'm not even be worried about embarrassing myself in front of these people. I don't care. I'm going to let that guy know. And not only going to let him know, as a courtesy, appreciate you coming here, I'm going to stick it to you guys a little bit. And you guys may be embarrassed to say this, but do you realize what you just heard? And that's why I did it, because I wanted to know. You need to wake up.
Yeah.
100%.
You need to wake up. This guy just told you some valuable information. And I wanted to know, did you guys get it? Well, did you guys get what was just said? And that's what interests me there. I'm trying to. That's me. You can tell right now. Do you guys understand where we're going? So we've taken the steps. We talked through. Now let's go here because I want to get your other stuff. Okay, let's do this. Law enforcement's going down. Everybody's seeing all your podcasts. Everybody, hey, tell me where law enforcement's going. Help me with my security company, David Scott. Where are we gonna be? Can we go real quick? If I asked you two today, open up a security company, go be successful. Tell me what that business is going to look like right now. What are you going to do? I know you don't want to open a security company, but if you were going to go open one today, what would you do right now? What would be your direction?
I'll let you go first because I have a different perspective.
And listen, everybody, this is real important. Two experts here. They're going to open it up. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
We
Seriously.
might have $1 million
Go get your
idea here.
notebook. Go take a break. Go get your notebook and pay attention here, because
Push pause.
That's right. Push pause. Go do what you got to do. Let's go.
Well, again, I'll delve back into the data piece, because I think, because the security landscape, as and we've said this before, everything changes, but nothing changes. And the security industry is a good example of that, because I've even in my former positions, I had to deal with vendors, who had the latest and greatest.
Tell me your positions, Dave. Remind everybody your positions, okay? Don't have them, they're not going to go on LinkedIn. Tell them right now.
Director of Security, Chief of Police, Regional Chief of Police. But I think
SWAT guy.
I think I
Yeah,
want.
I know.
He's so
See,
humble.
I can't.
Being
He's
a
so
handler.
humble. Dave, I'm sorry, but you have to do this.
background.
That's
Dave,
back there.
No,
That's
it's
back
not
there,
back. It's
guys.
not back there. It's not
Right.
back there. They have to understand who's talking. The most important, you have to have credibility. You're building the trust right. They got to know you. I know you. You're humble.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Expert
Tell them.
trainer.
I think
Maybe I should tell his background.
Yeah, you probably do, Scott. You're probably going to
think-
have
so
to.
humble about it.
Yeah, we need some secure measures here.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But I think it would be trying to better understand the landscape, and because I really still think customer is a people business, because most of the people most of the reasons why people hire security are, I think, because of human related issues, crime, homelessness, and all these different things. And part of the challenge is I would obviously, my big thing is training, right? So when I see all these different security organizations, they all train the same, barely, and minimally. And they go, this is all the state requires. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Oh, this is what the state requires. Well, what do your clients require? And what is the differentiator? We always talk about what's a differentiator. I think, having good processes, being transparent with the client of what we can do and what we really can't do. I think that's important, because, as an example, a lot of business owners that have brick and mortar businesses get frustrated, and you probably have seen this down here, where you have homeless popping up in different places or sleeping in front of storefronts. And what's one of the first things some of these small businesses do? Oh, we need to hire security. Okay. Then they hire security that has no training in mental health, substance abuse, conflict resolution. They get, a 30-minute, LMS training on de-escalation, and then go forth and be productive. And the first thing that happens is they walk up to this, person who is unhoused. Get out of here, beat it. Not realizing that person's heard that 30 times today, and that might be the very last time they want to hear that, right? And now conflict occurs. So I think training them in very specific aspects, and training them in more contemporary things. And the reason I say contemporary, and we've had this conversation before, is what's the thing one of the things that's required to get a guard card? Response to terrorism. That's important, don't get me wrong, but that's not covering contemporary issues that your average security officer is dealing with day to day. They're dealing with more complex human issues in terms of, could they be exposed to the possible active shooter, right? Yeah. If you work in a mall or other types of things, that's certainly reasonable and possible. But also they're dealing with the human crisis of homelessness and drug abuse and mental illness and all of these things that they're not prepared to deal with at all. And business owners are hiring security companies to deal with their homeless problem. But now we've inserted a whole nother organization into the mix that's not prepared or ready to deal with those. And I'm sure there's probably one or two security companies out there that actually trains their folks a little. But the grand scheme of things, the big organizations are not training their people. They're just not doing it. They're saying, here, can you go ahead and fog that mirror? Thanks, appreciate you. We all know, we've been in this industry long enough. And, going back to your law enforcement zero and security zero, the pool is shrinking of people who are actually willing to do that job. So what are we doing about, my other thought is kind of the model you've taken with Vision, which is how do I make the officers who are out there part owners? Now they have ownership in their own success, right? How do we do that? And there's a lot of different models, but I think I would probably take a very data-driven approach, data and training-driven, and be different than the other 16 vendors that this business is going to interview.
So not to cut you off, I'm going to go to Scott.
Cut
I'm
me
gonna
off, man. It's all good.
No, I have to piece something in because I need your feedback. So I want you to continue, but I got to feed this to you because I got to understand this one. So 75% of the guard companies, $5 million or less. That's the market. Okay, I'm not going to train because nobody else trains. I'm not going to train because I don't make enough money. Okay, that's where I realize that. Okay, it's not that they don't want to. It's they don't want to because that guy I'm going to train is going to leave, and I'm not training him for the next guy. Okay, I'm only going to do what BSIS asked me to do. And by the way, I'm not going to do what they asked me to do until they come into my file cabinet and say, "All right, we caught you. Go get your shit together."
Yep.
Okay, that's when it happens.
Yes.
Okay, it's a fear factor. Fear creates change. It's not that they're proactive. Because if they were proactive in the very beginning in training their people, they would invest in training in their people.
100%.
All right, that's out. So that's my answer to you. And then the second one is where I'm going. I'm trying to create something where I can create a partnership where the management company, the commercial properties, the hotel, the schools go, okay, bean counter, come on in here for a minute. I know you don't like security. I know you don't like vendors. I understand that. But let me show you something. This group here is now taking a mobile device, and they're actually wanting to do other things for us. Our staff has been reduced. Your staff has been reduced. So they're willing to give you really good, on a device, walk around and be our after-hour babysitter, be your property manager, your landscaper, all the other things, and do it very well. And the good part is they don't have to be supervised, and they don't have to be trained too much. You just have to watch a video that they're totally familiar with, that their parents gave them on an airplane with an iPad to keep them quiet, and they know how to do that. Right? So now they're walking around, and they're given specific instructions. They can speak any language. It goes in and pulls the data for you. What do you think, bean counter? And he goes, well, if they can do this, and you can prove it to me in 30 days, I think that's probably a 30% savings. I'd be willing to give them 10% of that. And by the way, we can reduce our insurance because if they are reducing our risk and liability, that would be interesting thing to figure it out. So that's where I'm going. And I go, okay, now that we're going that direction, I'm talking to property managers, and they're going, hey, we're interested in give us the data. You build it out because you got the expertise. Do you have vendors? Sure. Now I bring them in.
Yeah.
They say, do you want the money for the relationship? No, I want you to pay them so they can make more money so we can train them and keep them there long term because we're losing them.
Yeah.
McDonald's is paying $20 for a dishwasher. All right. And I made it really easy for the officer now to be engaged, gamification, to where he can actually see that he's making an impact himself. I can reward him as an owner of a company saying, good job. By the way, you hit that plus button. You went out and found and did extra things. You're a wonderful person. Now, let's move you up within the company. That's my vision and I changed why I built this, because I want to try to get the security companies more money. So quit buying the other products that aren't allowing you to do that. Quit running about cameras and robots that are going to cost you more money right now that you don't have, that the client isn't going to pay for, right? Yeah. I get it. It's coming, but that's not a fear factor right now. Yeah. So I wanted to be as quick as I could because I want to throw that back at you. And then I really want to stir up Scott because he's going to break down the garbage I just threw. And he's going to, and so take me there, Chief of Police. Take me there.
I think that's a very, very valid point. I'm still definitely on the training piece because regardless of what we just talked about, training still has become central regardless of what you're training them to do.
And real quick,
right?
I actually heard a sergeant from LA County Sheriff's Department tell me that 2 young officers didn't even know how to handle a transit at a 7-Eleven. In other words, there was no conversation. They literally grabbed the guy. The guy was mental. It turned into a foot pursuit that turned into a trip. It ended up almost turning into a shooting. Right?
But there was use of force.
Yep. On a very simple, hello, sir. Right? The old days, right?
Yep. Gift to gab.
Gift to gab.
Right. But also, in that case, also knowing what resources are available to you. Because that particular agency has their own homeless outreach team that you could have easily given a phone call to and said, hey, this is a data point, right? But it all goes back to generational stuff, and that's I learned a lot from you in relation to the generational stuff in terms of our youngest generation. They're used to, these things, right? They're not used to having face-to-face contact, regardless of what you teach them in the academy. It becomes very difficult for them to actually have a conversation. Just like the old school gift of gab. Hey, what's going on? How's it going today? What's happening out here, right? And instead of approaching things from, because everything doesn't have to be enforcement. And again, you're going to get a lot of people in the comments right now that are like, well, I was law enforcement. I'm not a social worker. I'm not this. True. I hear you, but you're still 911.
So true.
And you're still going to get, or the one comment I get from some, not all, but a few over the years in classes, well, I don't know what mental illness they have. And I'm like, you don't have to, okay? But do you have to know the elements of a crime in order to arrest somebody? Well, maybe you should know the elements of mental illness so you know how to handle that situation properly. I don't take the whole I'm not a social worker anymore. Yeah, you are. You're a bunch of different things rolled into one because there's just not enough resources, and you always have been. Mm-hmm. What do you think you are when you go to a domestic disturbance? Yeah. You can like it or not like it. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. Yeah. And law enforcement over time has evolved, and you're either going to evolve with it or you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of litigation.
Thanks, David. You know what? When you said that, right. When you hear that word, somebody goes, well, I'm not a social worker. Mm-hmm. I just want to tell them, brother, that's so rookie. Do you know how you sound when you say that? Yeah. Do you know what you're really saying? Do you know what you're telling the whole world?
But
especially when you're young. You're lazy, you're tired. But
on the other end, I've talked to a lot of fairly senior, folks maybe within the next couple of years, maybe retiring. They're like, yeah, I wish I had some of this stuff when I was brand new. I think that would have changed the trajectory of because, all of us when we were young, we wanted to go 100 miles an hour down the freeway with our hair on fire. Why? Because Code 3, right? Mm-hmm. But as you get older and as you start to realize kind of the human toil, or, the burden of dealing and interacting with human beings every day, you start to see a different side, which is why, you have a lot of folks that are a little bit jaded in some cases. But the reality is you can talk to, I've seen social workers that are jaded. I've seen psychologists that are jaded, because you see the same repeated patterns in some people and you're like, why can't they do X, Y, Z? But you're not looking at it through an empathetic lens. Wow. You're looking at it through a very minor lens of does it comply with the law versus this is a human being who are unpredictable, unreasonable. And that's why being in law enforcement or any kind of public service is very difficult because you're dealing with human beings who, again, are unpredictable, unreasonable, and unconsolable in some cases. So or uncooperative in some cases. And there's no one de-escalation technique or whatever that's going to work in every one of those situations. So the reality is you're still, it's the human component in everything.
Wow, Dave. So well said, Dave. Really.
I try.
Dude,
I do what I can.
Brother, I got to go to your class. I know.
I gotta put my college degree to some use.
Well,
right?
Well, very well said. I can only
pay a lot for that.
Honestly, brother, again, I'm going to give you another compliment. I can only imagine what kind of chief of police you were. You're a boy. I bet you the city and everybody just loved you. I mean,
I made a lot of
process.
mistakes. As I will say, as a senior leader, I made plenty of mistakes, and I'm sure there were times where my team did not understand me, nor were they happy with the decisions I made. But there were frequently times where I had to tell people I'm armed with more information than you are, which is why I'm making the decision I'm making because of where I am. I would do my best to try to, share with folks, hey, I don't like this policy, or I don't like something that came out of DC or whatever. I don't like those things either, but we're going to do them. Mm-hmm. But I still felt that I always had an open door. Hey, if you got a problem, come talk to me and we'll figure it out. Whatever that happened to me. But I was by far never a perfect leader. I made plenty of mistakes. But as long as you learn from those mistakes, that's what matters. If you just continue to make the same mistake over and over and over again, then that becomes a problem.
Well, you treated the patrol guys and gals like you wanted to be treated when you were in their shoes.
I would say so.
Having been able to watch you from a third party outside the agency, I got to be like, this is the cop's cop, mm-hmm. right? And by the way, it's really hard to be that because you're balancing the politics and what you're boots on the ground want to know or want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, I've been there. I want to do what you guys want to do too.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's a balancing act.
Yeah,
No.
especially nowadays. Being, I really feel for some of our senior law enforcement leaders because they're under an inordinate amount of pressure.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
right?
but see, I don't take this wrong when I say this, but I don't think you would have taken that position today because the type of guy you are, you have a limit, and it's not going to be cash or money
Right.
or a badge just to say that you care, right? And I'm not saying all agencies are that way, but they were very blessed to have you when they had you, when you could do what you could do, and then to have the talent to do that and feed it down. And you know what the greatest part about it? You educated every other patrol officer, detected everybody below you to want to be like you. So that kind of effect, hopefully, it's like raising
I would
kids.
hope.
Well, no, there's no question you
Yeah.
did. Like, there's a lot of people. We could go to Vegas on that, and I guarantee we'd win money saying, "Hey, did Dave ever impact you or change your lives?" And some of them, no question. Okay.
I love hearing that too, by the way, like that people that we have, led in the past, I love seeing where they're going and what they're doing, and they keep in touch with me and they tell me, oh, hey, this is what I've got going on and this, that. And I'm like, I'm their biggest super fan. Like, oh my gosh, you're a head of security now, or you're doing these great things.
Yeah.
I love that. I love watching what these folks, when I knew them and they were just wearing a uniform every day and walking around the facility, and they didn't know what they could become. And I hope that we influence them in an
No,
appropriate way.
you did. And I think we all love our daddies, right? No matter how you look at it. People, and it's not somebody that's because he's your training officer. Because I've had two different kinds of training officers, right? Yeah,
I think we all have.
Yeah. But then there's one that goes, no, Chris, you want to be a good traffic cop. Get off this criminal mentality that, hey, because you're working a traffic car, you're not any good. You don't understand the probable cause, the things to learn with the vehicle. There's a lot of good things for that can make you even a better street cop, right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, a teacher. No, you need to eat. You're not going to sit in this car and not eat. I need your mind to buy. I want to see you. You better be eating nutrition. By the way, are you getting enough sleep? It's important because we're going to go out and work together.
Yeah.
Right? So you really learn to respect people, and you did that, obviously, and I know, Scott, you did that, so it feels really good. Small example with me, I just had a guy on a podcast, Kendrick. He worked for me as a security officer, and we worked the HUD project together. Guess what? Went in the military, then he just retired as a chief from Oceanside,
Love
right?
it.
And this is a kid that said, oh, yeah, I just love it because you're in the department, we went and work these projects together, and I just love the job, and I wanted to go be a cop, right? And to see him, it scared me because of my age, right? I'm going, wow, this guy's now the chief of police, and now he's got his sons involved in law enforcement. So it's weird how you affect people. You know?
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right. I didn't mean to give that. Scott, feedback off that.
So where I would start for if I was going to build anything in the security industry today, I start with niche. What's a niche that I really understand, I'm passionate about, and I feel that I can build something that's impactful. Sure. Do we want to begin with the end in mind? What kind of business do you want? Do you want it to be a sole proprietorship in the consulting world, or do you want to build, a multi-state security guarding company, right? You got to understand what you could be and where you want to go and what is going to make you happy. But my sense for the future next, I don't like to try and think too far out, more than 10 years, but I think that there's going to be there'll be really, 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 really big companies, and there will be a handful of them, like maybe two, like maybe we have now, that will be dominating if we're talking just specifically security world, they'll be dominating a lot of technology spaces and security. So that's cameras and badge readers and so on, and AI and that kind of thing. And then the human guardian world. I think that there will be a handful of people or organizations you can go to for those services. So if you can be the that, do that, because you can't compete with them, and nor should you try, right? But that I use another car example, but Tesla is now one of the most dominant electric vehicle manufacturers in the world, let alone the United States. And they weren't here 25, 30 years ago, right? The 25, 30 years ago, it was Toyota and GM that were dominant in that space. And they now, neither of them make anything worth buying in that specific segment. So there is something to be said for niche or specialty. And I think historically we've kind of poo-pooed that, like, oh, you're a specialist, or you think you're an expert at X, whatever it is. But I think that will be the superpower. Additionally, as you're building and designing this product, services, or whatever you want to build with the understanding that you won't have supervisors or middle managers. We've all seen Office Space, and remember the scene where the two consultants are interviewing different workers, and the guy with the suspenders who ends up getting hit by a car at the end, towards the end of the movie, he's a middle manager, and they're interviewing him. What do you do here? And he's like, I talk to the customer. Oh, okay, so I take the facts from the customer and I go to the engineers and I explain it to the engineers, and then I give the customer what the engineer said. Well, can't the engineers just talk to the customer? No, they can't talk to the customer. The engineers don't understand the customer don't understand the engineer, right? This whole scene plays out. It's hilarious and accurate, by the way.
Yes.
Mike Judge, great filmmaker. But in the today and tomorrow world, we know we're going to have less people. So don't we need more doers, potentially, that can handle a lot of different things? We don't need as many managers, because I can use AI and a tech stack, and I can do certain things to help me manage that population. Some of the things I love that your product does is explains to the security leaders how the operators in the field, and I'm using way different terms than security guard and security manager, because those terms should just be thrown out because they're not relevant anymore. But the person who's that field operator with their boots on the ground is out there doing their best work, and we've empowered them to go do that. Now they have technology that they can apply and things like that. So if I'm building a business today, I'm going to build it with an end in mind. And by the way, that end can be, I want to be acquired. Cool. Like there's nothing wrong with that. If you're building something that you think somebody who is bigger than you, or somebody who is more collaborative than you, or you want to build a gap in a system that you think is needed, and you're okay with turning it over, and you don't want to be the big in the future, that's okay. But build it intentionally to fill a gap. And that's where I talk about specialization or niche, right? If you aren't filling the gaps, then the gaps will continue to grow, and it will continue to get worse for one person or one organization, and that's a customer. And when the customer isn't fulfilled, when they don't feel safe, they don't, put in your own adjective there, they're not going to use the product. They're not going to use the service. And we've seen this time and time again in name the industry. Boeing is going through this. They've got really bad QA/QC, quality assurance, quality control. And they've seen this over and over again. And market share, by the way, we only have 2 manufacturers of airplanes in the world for some reason, and it's Boeing and Airbus. Why? Because nobody else can compete with them. They're so big. But we're seeing with Boeing where they're not good at making sure that their product is the best thing that could be out there. And we're not just talking about aeroplanes. We're talking about their spacecraft, right? They got stranded at the space station. Who had to go save those astronauts? Elon Musk and SpaceX. So that's the inconvenient truth, where you have this up-and-comer startup, if you will. It's not a startup, but is SpaceX, that has completely disrupted the space delivery arena. And we're able to do so much more now because of the way SpaceX does their stuff. Be SpaceX.
Yeah.
That's what I see so much. Our industry is Boeing and Airbus, right?
That's yeah.
So why do we keep doing that? Why do we keep going down that road and saying, I'm going to disrupt Boeing? Who cares about Boeing?
Yeah.
Go, what does the customer want? Oh, the customer is really frustrated because they always get a new guard every 6 months or probably less than that. And then the guard doesn't know where to go and they don't know what to do. They need help. We need to help the guard be a better person and provide better customer service. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, can we do that with training? Can we do that with software and make that person smarter and better? Mm-hmm. Again, why are we not helping each other? Mm-hmm. Right? We're so intimidated and lost in the sauce with AI, and I am too. By the way, I'll be the first one to be.
Sure.
I try not to be hypocritical. I'm trying to live what I say, but we need to be leveraging that technology to help us understand the world better and help us understand our customer better.
Yeah.
If you aren't collecting metrics and you aren't collecting data, first of all, if you are and you're not looking at it, you're not trying to understand it, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. If you are collecting all that data, we all are anyways, we roll around with data centers in our pocket now. If we aren't trying to understand and leverage that data, that's the new thing that I think people are now starting to realize, that consultants always knew, manufacturers always knew, because lean manufacturing and all these things, that anybody who's made a thing, you bend metal to make a plane or a car or whatever, right? How can I do this more efficiently? Well, that needs to translate into every business. How do I, if I'm going to have a human-heavy product or service, where do I find those people? Okay, I want to have young people. I want them to be athletic. They need to have some level of intelligence to work with technology, but they don't have to know everything about security that I know.
Right.
Why? Because I got a technology that I can apply. Because I train them the right way. Right. I bring them into the organization. My culture is good, or my culture is supportive of their knowledge and their experience, and you care about them and what they have to say and what they bring to the table. And not being afraid, by the way, to fail at that. I think way too, and this is an influence, I think, maybe from the 80s and Wall Street. And, we're too big to fail, or failure's bad. But we have a huge number of business leaders mainly, not government leaders, that are okay with failure. And they're going to build something, and they're like, we're going to spend $1 billion, but I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah, I look at it kind of like the car, right? You build a car to do some new product, right? And then you go out there and you sell 100 million of them, and then you have a failure, right?
What does everybody remember, though?
Then you got all the recall. Let's try to explain. You got a recall. Yeah. So really, is the fear of change in addition to what you just said? And that's why when I deliver this, I said, you guys don't realize what I created with Vision. I created a tool for you to go in and secure your existing clients. I created a tool for you to be a partner with your clients to keep your retention. I created a tool for you where you don't have to edit and manage your employees or train your employees. It reduces that, right? I created a tool that takes the bean counter and go, yes, you can be a better partner. We love that. I reduced your sales team having to go out and sell your product, what you're selling today, right? I'm taking you away from the all-in-one solutions that you feel you need to have that only helps your business. You think it helps your business, but they don't do a good job because they don't have the industry experience, and they tell you what's going to be a 2-month process turns to be a 9-month process, and they don't realize that you have to put people on the table to train about payroll, scheduling, and all that, and they don't show up in time because they don't know your business. They don't realize you have to pay that person 2 hours. You can't say, let's hold a meeting next week, again next week, and next week. And at the end of the day, you're broke. So if I can put a tool in your hand where you can grow all those things, and you have a 5-year window, I told them, 5 years. Get this done in 5 years, the 75% of the people, they're going to go away quick.
Yes.
If you get it, you put your Nike shoes on, and you do what Michael Jordan tells you to do, and you run, right? And you get this done, guess what your profit margin is going to look like? Tremendous. Guess what your guard rate is going to look like? Way better. Guess what your retention? Because if you want to sell your business, you know what churn is? Yes, it's churn and it's growth and retention. It's not that you have a $10 million contract that's going to go away in 5 years. They're not going to pay you for that because that's eventually going to go away. They want to see a long-term relationship and what makes you unique. And that's where the multiples come into play. Are you worth 1.5 or 2? The traditional companies today are worth that. Think about what I'm going to deliver to you. If you lock and secure them and you've increased it and you've got a long retention and you're doing all these things for a partnership, and that client just like, wow, hey, you can be the next Securitas if you run higher, because Securitas isn't there yet. They're too big. They're a big boat that can't make a quick left turn.
No.
You can make a real quick turn. So grow it, decide what you want to do with it. Maybe you become that operator.
Yeah.
Now, if you're that entrepreneur that we just talked about earlier and you're lazy, you're going down the road. If you're saying, oh, I don't think I want to do that. I don't like that, right? You're going to be done. Mark my words. Play this video when I'm dead. They're going to say, oh, Chris, Scott, and Dave were right, right? That's what's going to happen to you. You better get it together. Start listening. This is the opportunity. We're not here. We're here to share. I'm telling you guys, 32 years, industry experience, we're telling you where to go. This is what you got to do.
Without a doubt.
That's what you got to do.
Comment, like, share, and subscribe.